50 years ago, on 7 and 8 April 1968, two enlightened men, the successful Italian businessman Aurelio Peccei and the brilliant British scientist Alexander King, then Director General for Scientific Affairs at the OECD, organized a meeting with some 30 scholars and scientists at the Accademia dei Lincei in Rome, that, in spite of strenuous battles against mainstream paradigms, in spite of having been despised as doom thinkers, acting against progress with a big P, the club is still alive and kicking. As you know, in 2015, 190 heads of state, of government and governments had signed a commitment to 17 Sustainable Development Goals, now famous as SDGs. Former UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon invited Mathilde, the Queen of the Belgians, to be one of them. He had met her several times and knew her personal concern about the children, women and girls, education and development aid. She agreed. In an interview some months ago, the Queen declared, 2030 is tomorrow. The change must happen today. Hope. Come on. Today's cry of the Club of Rome has a double sense. It means, don't tell me fibs. Don't fool me. This civilization is collapsing. But come on, it also means, come on, let's act. Let's join efforts together to change course. We can do it. Against the collapse, there is hope, because there is also faith and love in the species Homo sapiens sapiens.
Although the media should make public all situations where sustainability is on the mind, sometimes they do not sufficiently reflect the successes achieved by civil society, business and policymakers in implementing sustainable practices.
What does Europe need to continue leading on sustainability? I would argue that when it comes to climate change and natural boundaries, sort of the profound natural science case has been recognized. At this stage, it's still very much for the letterheads, the slides, the logo on the slides, the annual reports. Do they really change things? 75% of the members of the UN Global Compact, they have now started to look into the SDGs. Okay, that means that 25% of the most esteemed business group in the world, the UN Global Compact, they have not done a thing 3 years after the adoption of the SDGs. They would ask themselves, in a globalized economy with global competition, global investments, global markets, why should I start to change? When we see the SDGs, I was critical before, but it is, of course, starting to move, starting to be built into business and politics and wherever strategies are being made. But some must lead. Some must show that it is doable and profitable. I can see nobody but Europe to take the lead on sustainability. I saw last week that the International Renewables Agency, IRENA, said that now the world has produced more than 10 million jobs in the renewables business. I think that the next really big thing we need to deliver on is to integrate this into the core of our economic choices. What we want less of, we should tax more. What we want more of, we should tax less. But wouldn't it be timely now to try and combine those two European strongholds, digitalization and being good on all this sustainability? I think it's high time to build sustainability into the new narrative, the new raison d'être for Europe and for EU cooperation. Part of that young generation is also getting rather impatient. For good reasons. They have been told this is urgent. The fastest way to the goal, in my mind, will be to integrate sustainability as an equal parameter in all decisive policy and business choices. But no region is better equipped to do what's needed, to actually show what comes after the local phase than exactly us in Europe.
Awareness about climate change has risen dramatically, but policies haven't followed at the same pace. The EU is no longer the biggest polluter, but is ready to deliver. The EU will decrease its greenhouse gas emissions with 23% by 2020, whilst the economy will be 53% bigger than in 1990. It's also a moral issue and a moral fight. Ethics matter. Egoism versus altruism. We have to fundamentally adapt our systems and acknowledge that we aren't living in an empty world anymore, but in a full world. I'm a crusader, as so many others, for human development. This will give another meaning to the concept of GDP growth. We often speak about a democratic deficit, but a leadership deficit can also be problematic. We never thought a few years ago that the world would be so successful in that area. We have to promote good examples so that citizens feel encouraged to support climate politics. Reaching a compromise is not playing with words, but trying to achieve results. We have to remain committed to moderation and conversation. A world with more than 11 billion people in 2060, almost half of them in Africa, 4 billion people, as much as in Asia, is unlivable.